Okay, based on the question we got from Ralph, I had to take an assumption, and my assumption is the market segment we are talking about here is packaging printing on inkjet with extended gamut. So the answer I will be giving is now really for that market segment where we print with inkjet with extended gamut, meaning we have additional colors like orange, green, and violet. And but what's also important to know for inkjet, when you print inkjet, and for example, if you define something in 50, let's say 100% cyan in inkjet printing, you very often see outputs that are not using the 100% cyan, but a mixture of the available process colors to simulate 100% cyan that is visually equivalent to the cyan in offset printing. So when we talk about inkjet printing is usually a printing process that is not preserving the original separations compared to offset printing, where a cyan channel does not get re-separated to something different that then prints to something that looks to our cyan. And we are actually talking about that part of the Ghent workgroup workflow, because in the question actually starts. Let me rephrase the question. What is the best way to automate the workflow from an online shop, for example, Magento? And when we talk about an online shop, I assume that the files that are being delivered are already either a PDF files or images. But let's stick to the PDF files. So the PDF files come in and should be checked up front before they get sent to the printer. So there are systems available that allow a pre-flighting right from the web shop. That is something that, for example, we develop, or some web shop solutions have a pit stop engine or a color PDF toolbox engine or other pre-flight engines built in. So the files are being checked up front. But what's more interesting actually here in that question is how to print to a digital, how to print packaging digital, maybe with an extended gamut, and where to perform the color conversion. And when we look at the PDFX workflow, PDFX, as you know, X stands for blind exchange, meaning when a file comes, everything has to be defined. And defined means in terms of color, every color has to be defined. To be more precise, a color is defined if we have a color value and the adjacent or the corresponding ICC profile. So the easiest way to see that, you get a PDF file and something is defined in 100% cyan, but 100% cyan is too little. You need the so-called output intent. And when you have the output intent, the 100% cyan is defined by the output intent, because the output intent defines the output color space. When you now go to white gamut printing, and you start with Vyncke only files, then you actually, in our view, cannot really utilize the extended color gamut, because if something is already separated to Vyncke, then it's already separated to a specific output condition, to a specific color space. And most of the time, it's an offset printing color space on coated stock. And you can't make things look prettier after the conversion. If you want to get it look more prettier with more brilliant or vivid colors, you actually have to start with RGB values or with spot color values in other places. When we look at PDFX again, in PDFX, when you work with RGB elements, an RGB element has to have a source color space, because as I said before, a color has to be defined when you have an RGB color value, or if you have RGB images, then you need the source profile. That way, the RGB values in the image are defined precisely by the ICC profile. And the output is defined by the output intent. So when you now go to, if you want to go to an extended gamut, it would be counterproductive to now use, for example, ISO-coded V2 as the output input, because in that case you tell already the PDF rendering or the PDF viewing application convert the RGB to CMYK in the ISO-coded V2 color space, meaning you already tell the application which colors the RGB image to convert to. If you have a wide gamut output device, there are actually two ways. Either you do not work with PDFX, but that's outside our scope here for the moment, or you work with PDFX 5N, which is a very special version of the PDFX variant. It's also outside the scope of Ghent Workgroup as of now. We are working on multicolor printing variants, but we are not at that point yet. Or there's a new profile, or there are so-called white gamut CMYK profiles. There are profiles in the United States, which name I can't remember at the moment. The one I do know is the just released ECI CMYK V2 profile. So in order to go to a wide gamut printing output device, the PDFX creation process should use this ECI CMYK ICC profile as the output intent profile, meaning every RGB is, when you open such a PDF in Acrobat, for example, the RGB elements in the PDF are then simulated on the screen by converting them to the white gamut CMYK color space. You have to, what you have to look out for, if you get PDFs that already have CMYK values, you might need to convert them from, for example, ISO-coded V2 CMYK to the ECI CMYK V2 CMYK to preserve the original color. But that way you get a PDF X4 file that utilizes a larger color gamut, and hopefully when you also want to utilize the white gamut for vector elements, then the best way is to create vector elements using spot colors, because spot colors get printed or simulated on the output device in a different way. They actually bypass all the ICC conversion, and they then usually use a lookup table in the DFE, or they use the alternate color space, which is nowadays mostly LEB. And as you know, in LEB you can define very vivid and very rich colored color, and this color is then used in the DFE to simulate the spot color, so to speak, with the available 4, 5, 6, or 7 colors that are available on the output device. So I was afraid that the answer that I'm giving is going to be lengthy, and this is actually a topic that can fill a whole day. I will stop here also to make room for other questions. But the overall idea should be use a white gamut CMYK output intent profile, then you stay in the CMYK world. That makes it much more easier than with any N color output profiles. Work with RGB images, and when you have vector elements, work with spot colors. And then you need to configure the DFA in the right way to also utilize these white gamut color definitions in the PDFX file.
Brilliant, Peter. That other color space is the XCMYK profile from the IDEA Alliance. That's the one that we're using.
Correct.
For expanded gamma, and mostly on offset, but that's a lot of information on that you can find on the web from the Idea Alliance website.